What's going on, Internet? Welcome back to the URL versus IRL podcast. I'm your host, Bree Lynch, and I'm excited for this episode today because it is actually just you and I having this little chat. And my cat Blossom, who is currently in the corner. So I apologize if you guys hear her rattling around as we are talking. But I'm very excited for this episode today. So let's roll the intro music and then we'll jump into it. Wow, you guys, I never thought that I would be having this conversation. I guess I'm kind of just talking to myself, but I'm also talking to you guys. If you guys will listen to me and not leave me alone, because I'm doing a solo episode today, and it's really rude if you click away from me because you're just going to leave me talking to myself. So do me a favor and stick with me for a little while, okay? Now, as you guys can probably tell from the title of this episode, we are going to be talking about deleting or deactivating or getting rid of your social media, just life without social media. It's not something that I ever thought that I was going to be able to relate to be honest with you, because my job kind of feels like it depends on it. I feel like social media has had me in this weird chokehold for the past 10 years, and it has affected so many different areas and parts of my life that I didn't even realize until I did realize it, to be honest with you. I knew that social media had me in a chokehold and that I really wanted to delete all of my accounts. It was something that I used to joke about all of the time. I would just say, one of these days I'm just going to delete everything and just fall off of the face of the planet. And if I had a regular job, I don't think that I would even have social media. Or if I didn't work in the movie industry, I don't think that I would even have a social media account, or I wouldn't care about any of this shit. Part of me wants to believe that that's true, but another part of me knows that I'm kind of full of shit, to be honest with you. This is going to be a very vulnerable episode, you guys, so I hope you guys are locked in, okay? Because I just feel like, number one, before I even jump back to the social media talk, hopefully I can keep my train of thought here. Number one, I think that the next couple of episodes might be solo episodes is kind of what I'm thinking. I think that I have a lot of thoughts happening in my brain right now, and a lot of things that I've wanted to say out loud, get off of my chest, just talk about, generally speaking, that I never knew how to kind of transition into a podcast episode, especially not by myself. But as you guys know, I'm coming around to 1 year of podcasting. I'm actually right around my 1 year marker right about now, as to when I was starting to host episodes, record episodes, that kind of thing. And then I waited about a month or month and a half to actually release my first episode, which came out on my birthday, which is June 28th. Now, I think that this year of my life has been extremely highly anticipated my whole life. For some reason, I always looked forward to turning 28 years old. And then I felt like being 28 years old was oddly eventful but uneventful. It's probably been my most uneventful year as far as my professional career, but probably one of the most eventful chapters of my life creatively. And this is where this kind of brings me back to social media, okay? So career-wise, I think that I was always afraid of deleting my social media because I felt like my career depended on it. I work in the movie industry. I feel like if you're, out of sight, you're out of mind. If you're not around online, people are going to forget about you, and that, it's just kind of like the whole FOMO culture kind of thing. But I also know that as someone who considers themselves to be an artist, I like creating. I like creating almost anything I can get my hands on. As you guys know, I went to school for filmmaking and photography, or hopefully you guys know that because I have mentioned it on the podcast a couple of times. And hopefully I'm not talking to myself. Like I said, are you still there? Because this is a solo episode, so please don't click out of here because I will be talking to myself today. But yeah, like I said, I've gone to school for filmmaking and photography. I always loved art growing up. I will always participate in craft nights and, all kinds of things. I like every form of art. I love viewing art. I love dissecting art. I love creating art, whether it's painting or coloring or drawing or writing or, using a camera or, photography. I was super into photography for a long time. Then I got into videography, now podcasting, just Having a creative outlet is something that is extremely important to me as an individual, and I feel like I go a little crazy when I don't have a creative outlet, which is why the podcast has been so great for me this past year, because it's really kept me like focused, and I think it gives me a space to like release my creativity and not just have it all pent up inside of me because I can't figure out what to create. So this has been a really nice push for the past year. So if you guys are still here, thank you so much for the support and for listening and for following me through every single transition of the podcast. Which, speaking of which, if you guys are watching the YouTube episode version of this podcast, you guys can probably tell that I'm in a different location. We're in another new studio. You know what? I really think that 28 was the year of change. That's what I kind of think. I think that my 28th year was like the year of change. And maybe that's why it was so highly anticipated in my life. Like I said, it wasn't super eventful career-wise for me, but it was very eventful for me creatively speaking and personally speaking. Lots of like weird ups and downs and stuff this year, but also just like kind of a challenging year, but in a good way, you know? Like, it's just been a year pushing me along to become, I really think, this, like, better, brighter person, and also become really true to myself all over again. Now, I know this episode is supposed to be about, like, social media and deactivating social media, but I also think, first of all, I'm on a week of no social media right now, aside from the podcast account, which I'm not even really on like that. I think that deactivating my social media has been so great for me. It has been everything I have hoped for. It has been everything I could dream of. And I honestly hope that I'm so tempted to continue living my life like this and to not be online anymore. Not completely be offline, but not be so immediately online, if that makes sense. So I think that, like, obviously I still have my YouTube account up because I'm posting this podcast on YouTube. Obviously I still have the podcast Instagram account up, but also I didn't post anything about the episode that I put out last week, and it still did average. And I kind of just feel like a lot better. Like, I'm not going to lie. I think that not having social media as such a distraction has been so good for my brain and so good for my mental health and just my space. And like, I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing, and I don't care. And like, I just felt like it was like not helping me. So I just deactivated my account and I was like, fuck it. And just deactivated it one day, like last week. And I have not felt this great in a long time. And honestly, it's given me a lot of time to really sit with my own thoughts. I've also noticed that I've become a lot better at speaking. I do like a video journal thing every day for the past like month or so now. And I have become a much better speaker. I don't think that I say like as often. I don't say as often. It's just been like a weird cleanse that I didn't even realize that I needed. And I think it's also kind of put me back in touch with reality a little bit, which has been really nice. So I kind of hope that I don't have to go back to it. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm really torn. I'm really torn. I don't know what the heck I want to do yet. But I will say I feel a whole lot better. Now, like I said, I was always afraid of deactivating my social media because working in the movie industry, I just felt like if you're out of sight, you're out of mind, and like you're not gonna get any calls for work, and no one's gonna care, and like nobody's gonna remember you, and all of these things. And I think that that is true in some way, shape, or form in certain ways. I think that there's so many creative ways around this that might be better for me as a human being, I'm recognizing. So, yeah. And also, I just got a call for work like right before I started this podcast. So my whole fears of being so afraid that by deleting my social media, I'm never going to get a call for work again, I need to relax. Now, I do want this episode to be a little bit educational. I think I want it to be a little bit helpful for some other people. So let's get into the URL versus IRL of deactivating your social media account or living life without social media. What do people immediately think of when they think of someone deactivating their social media? Or what does it look like online? First things first. What it usually looks like online is somebody making some kind of goodbye post. which is ironically still centered around social media. People tend to, instead of just pulling the plug, ripping the band-aid off, they make it like this whole thing. Like they talk about it online and they like say like, I'm deactivating my account, text me if you need me, or they make like some kind of post about it, is what I've seen a lot of the times. I know a lot of influencers do it as like a branding strategy kind of thing. Like I think Taylor Swift at one time deleted her entire Instagram or something. Don't quote me on this, but I'm having like a weird recollection of her deactivating or deleting her whole social media account and then coming back, and it was like a new era kind of thing. I can't remember if Billie Eilish did the same thing or not. I think she does for each album, but I don't know. Anyways, I know some people use it as a branding strategy in a sense, and that's not why I'm doing it by any means. I think that if I do reactivate my account, yeah, sure, I'm going to feel a lot better, but I don't know that it's going to be good for me in the long run. And I think that, again, as a person that was so afraid of deleting social media and now is realizing like how much better this really is without it, I don't even know if I want to go back. But here's another thing. I think that when people deactivate their social media, people immediately think like, ooh, this person is mysterious, or like, this person is mentally unwell. There's like one of the two. It's either you're going through a breakdown or a breakup, and there is no in between. And, I think that a lot of us are really addicted and don't even recognize it. And I recognize it kind of, sort of right now. I think that for the first little while, like the first like day or two, I was like just checking my phone for literally no reason. Like I was like checking my email and like checking my text messages, seeing if I had any missed calls. I would, just look at other random stuff on my phone. I was clearing my camera roll of old stuff that I didn't need, and just, oh, this photo is a duplicate. Like, just, I went through my files. Like, I was just doing anything to be physically on my phone. Now, I know that my friend Laura and I actually had a whole podcast episode. The two of us used to be roommates, and we actually had talked about her being a photographer, and she had talked about deactivating her social media account, and now she's got an app called Opal, and I also was using Opal for a while to kind of like limit me to my social media usage, and I loved Opal. I thought it was a great app. I have since stopped using it because I realized how being on social media wasn't an issue for me like I thought that it was. I thought that I spent a lot of time on social media, but it turned out I was only spending like 40-ish minutes a day or so on there, like combined throughout my entire day, maybe 45 minutes. Even if that was 5 minutes at a time, that I'd like wake up in the morning and first thing I would do is check my phone and check what was on Instagram, and then like I'd be falling asleep going through TikTok or Instagram or whatever. So it still was not accumulated to be a lot of time like I originally thought it was going to be. But even now, just not seeing what anyone is doing, what anyone is up to, like at all, has been even cooler and has just given me a lot of space to think. I don't know. I really think that everyone should do this at least once in their life. And I think that if I continue to be on this like no social media kick that I'm on right now, or I continue to live my life this way, it might even make the podcast a little better? Question mark? I don't know. I think that I've just had a lot deeper conversations when we're not like talking about memes and like not referring to things that we've like seen online. I just feel like I'm having deeper life conversations than usual. And as I said, I think that 28 is my year of change. I think that that's maybe why it was such a highly anticipated year for me growing up in my life. I didn't know what I was looking forward to about turning 28 years old. I think it was originally just because like it's my champagne birthday and like, that kind of stuff. But as I said, it's just been a lot of change this year. A lot of change this year. And I'm just trying to embrace it and, kind of stay true to myself and also find deeper connection with myself and just try to break bad habits that I have had. I think another thing that happens when you are, on social media and deciding to deactivate your account, you get this weird like sense of FOMO. There's like this weird like FOMO culture, and I think that it actually kind of ties into hustle culture, which is something that I want to talk about on the podcast one of these days with someone. I think that deleting your social media, like you're so afraid that you're going to be missing out on stuff, or that people are not going to recognize that you're missing, and like people aren't going to, see that you're not there and wonder where you are. And here's the thing is like the people that actually matter, you do talk to them. Like you do reach out to them. I think that I've had so many incredible conversations this week. It's actually forced me to get back on the phone with a lot of my friends, which has been so nice. That's another thing that I changed earlier this year was I started sending some people some text messages just saying like, "Hey, really miss you. Hope we can get on the phone soon." I've actually decided to create this newer boundary for myself that I don't want to keep having text message conversations. I would much rather have conversations over the phone with people, just because I think that things get not as misinterpreted that way. And also I just miss human to human true connection. And if I can't be in person with someone, I think I would much rather be on the phone with them or get like voice memos from them. I've made the transition with a lot of friends already where I'm pretty much strictly sending voice messages back and forth, unless if it's like a logistical thing that we're planning, or we're like trying to figure out where we're going to go to eat, or we're trying to, figure out something that needs to be in writing so that nobody forgets about it. But other than that, any actual deeper conversations that I'm having have all been over voice memo or text message or something of the sort. And I just feel so much better and I feel so much more connected. I talked to a friend of mine that I haven't gotten to talk to since November yesterday, and it just felt great. We talked on the phone for like 2.5 hours, and I just think that I have seen so many people's true selves by even being on the phone with them rather than texting, and also rather than just sending memes back and forth online. Damn, like I can't even tell y'all how much I hate reels sometimes. I hate reels. I hate TikToks. I hate like the funny, silly, goofy, like just brain rot nonsense that I see online. But I really just get super overwhelmed when I get a lot of reels from people. You know, when you get like you have like a DM thread with like one of your friends that you guys just send reels back and forth and like memes and stuff. It just like is like a little exhausting for my brain. My brain can't take it, and I feel like I don't have enough space in here for that when I have like 50 million other things that I'm always thinking about all the time. And then I feel like I'm offending somebody by not watching the stuff that they're sending me, and it just becomes a whole freaking thing, and it sucks. So I've been very happy to not be getting that kind of thing recently. Anyways, let's move on to the IRL portions of deactivating your social media. Now, the truth of the matter is, deactivating your social media is extremely freeing until it's not. And I don't think that I have hit that point yet of it not being super freeing. I have really been utilizing this journaling app that I absolutely love. It's called Confide. It's like an AI journaling app. I don't really think that I need an AI journaling app. You know what's really funny is I've been doing this app for like a month, right? I think I mentioned that earlier in the podcast episode. It's hard for me to tell because I've had to do a couple of retakes on this just to kind of get my thoughts together before I really started recording. So I was kind of talking to myself and deleted all those takes and stuff. But anyways, I've been using this AI journaling app. It's called Confide. Now, I used to do a video journal series years and years and years ago. So I've done a video journal before, but not like an app like this one. Do I really think that my app is so much better than just doing a general video journal? No. I like it because it transcribes the things that I'm saying, and I can watch my words pop up like in real time, which I think is really cool. And also it gives me like a little streak. Like it's like kind of like Duolingo where it like reminds me, it's like you're on your 21-day streak right now, blah 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 blah. I've been doing mine for like a month. I just passed that mark the other day. So very proud of myself for that. So it does make it a little bit easier to kind of keep yourself accountable and get a reminder to be able to continue doing that every single day. And it also will give you prompts sometimes as well, which I think is really nice. I really like that. It's actually given me a couple of ideas for the podcast as well, which has been pretty cool. So I'm very excited to start like kind of intertwining those with the actual podcast. I think it's pretty nice. But anyways, I've been video journaling kind of to fill my time instead of being on social media, which is nice because I think that when you become like alone with your thoughts, if you don't do something with them, you might go a little stir crazy. And it's probably just because everybody has ADHD now, probably because of social media and because of the internet. I know I have undiagnosed ADHD. Thank you to my therapist for literally pointing that out to me. But yeah, so I've just been like using my video journaling app to kind of fill my time and fill my thoughts in my space. And again, the video journaling app even just forces me to like reflect and think and just, kind of get my thoughts out and get them somewhere. I think I could use it in a better way if I was actually like reviewing maybe towards the tail end of the week just to kind of like see how things are going or like review my thoughts. But my problem is I'll talk to myself for like 30 minutes during the day. So it's a lot of stuff to review, as you guys can probably imagine. So anyways, moving on from that. I think that another realistic thing that I think that I mentioned before is that we're all addicted to social media. And I think that we're just addicted in different ways. I think that like I said, you could just go to a different app like YouTube or TikTok or your email, like, or like clear out your camera roll, like I was telling you guys that I was doing. So I really needed that, which is good because, again, deleting my social media has given me a lot of time to do other things that are really important and really necessary. And I haven't been getting as distracted, which has been really nice. Now, I think that another thing that's really interesting that I kind of didn't anticipate is that oddly enough, time kind of warps right back into your life, like suddenly, first of all, I've been waking up way earlier than usual. I've been waking up at like 6:30 in the morning. I think that that's just because I got off of a long-term job that I was waking up at like 7 o'clock every morning, but I've been able to form habits, which is great. That's not something that I've ever really been able to do for myself. Like, I think it's something that I have been craving since I was in high school because I haven't had a routine since I was in high school. But like, even these small little habits that are now forming since I haven't had social media to distract me has been incredible. Suddenly I'm doing yoga every single day and I'm stretching all the time, and I'm about to look up a hot yoga studio like near my studio here so I can get more heavily into that. I also have been, like I said, waking up at like 6:30 in the morning. I've been journaling every single day. Yeah, I just have been forming habits kind of like unintentionally. I start something and then I stick with it now. And I think it's because I'm not as distracted and I don't have like so many things going on that the touch like at my fingertips, And I also tend to keep losing my phone right now. Like I literally never know where my phone is. I also think this is something that I was digging into in therapy earlier this week. I never realized how big of a deal other people's perception of me was in my life. And I promise you I'm going to tie this back to social media somehow. But this is actually something that I discovered in therapy like earlier this week and that I just kind of wanted to share. I think that I am extremely afraid of people's perception of me. Something that my therapist and I actually unpacked was that every time that I feel like somebody is misperceiving me or is like misunderstanding me, I reach out for a therapy session, and I'll do as many sessions as I need to until I feel like I'm finally come to an understanding. And I think that for so long, it was just me kind of like trying to, I guess, get validation that I was like a good person, oddly enough, and that I never mean to harm anyone. And also just that I have self-worth. And I feel like that also kind of ties back to social media because recently, ever since I deactivated my account, I don't care what other people think. I think that it's a weird, freeing feeling, but it's also kind of jarring at the same time. I just think that, like, without having likes and comments and, numbers and, just like focusing on growth and comparing to the last thing that you posted and just, all of those things, suddenly, like, I'm just realizing how much of that shit does not matter. It does not matter. Now, do I still like have dreams of working with brands and like kind of being an influencer and showing the world something that I think is important? Abso-fucking-lutely. And that is a big, thing for me as to why I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up on this forever, but I also am realizing how much I needed to detach from it and realize that that is like an alternate universe in a weird way, and that I just need to recognize that and to keep remembering that, and that life goes on with or without it, and you need to stick to the things that you love. It's oddly given me the time for things that I love, and I didn't even realize that those things were gone and that those things were missing. Now, I'm kind of going to do a little like question and answer just with myself right now. I'm trying to think about, like, in my brain, if I was interviewing somebody, how I like what kind of questions I would ask them about deactivating their social media, just to kind of wrap this up in a pretty little bow. One question that I would probably ask would be, what provides validation when you don't have numbers to count on, you don't have comments to count on, you don't have likes to count on? What provides that validation? And also, what sparks your creativity without social media? Now, for me, what provides that validation? Me, myself, and I provide that validation. I think that getting, little messages from my people and little phone calls from my people provides that validation. I think that having real life connection with others provides that validation. Like, I went into my favorite coffee shop today and saw one of my favorite baristas and was like really excited to see them today and had a little conversation with them. I also have gotten a lot more time to catch up with like my family members. I got to spend some time with my mom. My mom and I had a sleepover. Like, I think that real human connection is what's really providing that validation that I felt like I was only getting online for so long. And I don't think I even realized how alone I was with, being so connected to social media and having these like parasocial relationships. I don't think that I even realized like how much my true real life relationships felt like they were lacking in comparison. So I think that that's what, provides that validation. Now, what sparks my creativity? I think suddenly the whole world around me feels like my oyster. Like, I know that that sounds so cheesy, but like suddenly I just feel like I see so much beauty and so much art in like everything now without social media. I think that I've just like recognized so many other things that can be so beautiful and can be so like fascinating, and things that I haven't recognized before. But anyways, so let me think of another like question that I would probably ask somebody. What have I noticed about myself since I logged off? I noticed myself a lot less anxious. I think that the thoughts that I have in my brain are a little more sporadic, and they come and then they go, and then they come back and then they go. I also have been able to kind of keep track of those thoughts a little bit better. They're not just all like spinning around like a, the URL versus IRL logo looks like, how it's like all those like things around the logo. It's like it reminds me of like the Powerpuff Girls. We kind of sort of did that intentionally. But yeah, I think that my thoughts don't look like that anymore, if I was gonna like describe them. Like, if you think of like a circle and just a bunch of circles around the circle going every single which way, that's how my thoughts used to feel. And now they just like, I am focused on something for like a while, and then like zoop, a little thought will pop into my head that's maybe just my ADHD being something else, and then I'm like, ooh, and I'll like write it down real quick, and then zoop, it leaves. I don't know how else to explain that. I have to wrap this episode up soon because I'm starting to not make any sense. I should have been talking about social media this whole time, and somehow I've gotten into like this very deep, like vulnerable space of just things that have been going on in life and like how things are going and how I'm feeling mentally. But I think that deleting my social media has had a lot to do with all of this. Anyways, do I feel like any part of my personality has changed since my audience has kind of disappeared, in a sense? I'm a little less like concerned about myself and what I look like, you know? Not like physically, but I think that I'm just not as worried about how I am being perceived or like how I am presenting myself or what people might think or how many people saw what I said or what kind of content is doing good versus what kind of content isn't doing good. I also haven't been checking my podcast statistics nearly as much. Like, I think that for a second, like, even my podcast statistics were like something that I was like hyper fixated on and was like, I need to know how to grow. I need to figure out how to get better. And I'm also like, the people that are listening are like here. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, the people that are listening and they're still commenting and they're still coming back every week. And like, I just feel better. Like, I just don't think about myself and how I'm being viewed nearly as often. So that's been really, really nice. I really, really enjoy that. So that's been really cool. I think that a URL versus IRL type of question that I'm going to end off with is, do I think it's actually brave to deactivate or cowardly to deactivate? I think it depends on why, but I do think that it is actually brave. I think that in some ways it can be cowardly because it depends on if you're like running away or if you're running towards yourself. It depends on like what's going on in your life of whether deactivating is great for you or not great for you. I think that for myself, it was like a combination of both. Like, again, this has been like the year of change, and I had contemplated deactivating my social media around my birthday. I'm just like a mile marker kind of person. I'm just like a person that needs to, I think, just have certain timelines and certain dates and like deadlines and stuff like that. So for me, I was going to wait until my birthday, and then I was just like, fuck it, try something different. Just do it. And I just did it, and I was very happy with my decision. It was weird at first, but it has been much better for me, and I've gotten a lot more done day to day. So do I think it's brave or do I think it's cowardly? I think it's brave if you do the work on yourself and if you focus on yourself and if you wholeheartedly make sure that you are okay. You know, I think that if you pay attention to yourself and like write down your inner thoughts and just take the time to nurture yourself, I think it's really brave. So I think that's all I got for this episode today, you guys. I am, like I said, I have a lot of thoughts in my brain, and I have had a lot of thoughts and a lot of things that I've wanted to say. And I think that also I just kind of want to get a little more vulnerable with you guys and just kind of let you guys in on like some things that are going on for me personally right now. And so I think I'm going to try to figure out a way to incorporate those into the podcast. I also think that I have noticed a big, like I said, this has just been the year of change. Like, there's so many things that I've realized are so important to me that I somehow leave out of one of the most important things that I do and something that I check back on every single week. And so I want to figure out how to like incorporate those things into the podcast. So we might be seeing a little bit of a change soon, or a little bit of like a transition here. All right, you guys. Well, I think that just about wraps up this episode today. I would say to reach out to me and let me know what your thoughts are, but I'm not on social media. You could reach out to the URL versus IRL account and I will see it eventually. And I will respond back to you, but I'm not even logged into that account right now, to be honest with you. So I really appreciate you guys for sticking around. Feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video, or if you know me personally, feel free to reach out to me. I am so excited to sign off here. And I think that if you have been also kind of contemplating deactivating your social media, try it for like a week. Like I said, I feel like I've made like miles and miles and miles worth of progress just on myself, with myself, by myself, without social media. And I think that it's something that everybody should give it a try every now and then, or give it a try for once in their life and just see how they feel. Spend some time with yourself, with your own thoughts, and just take a second to slow down, you know? So anyways, I would tell you guys to comment below, but I'm only going to be able to see it on Spotify or on YouTube. So feel free to do that. And I'm excited to sign off. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye. Are you All right, talk to you soon on the next CR.